You know what? Are we live?
Hi, everybody. Sherry Leopold here. I am so excited to be interviewing this amazing powerhouse woman, Dr. Patricia Rogers. Welcome, Patricia. It's so amazing to talk to you today.
Hi, Sherry. Happy to be here, girl. How are you?
I am awesome. I am awesome. Having my best day ever for sure. So
Awesome.
I wanted to, and we had a conversation and get to know each other. And I'm like, I so need to talk to you because you need to share some of your wisdom with some of the people in my network. So what we're going to be talking about today, I mean, you are a visibility strategist. Obviously, that you're all about helping somebody be seen for their zone of genius and their expertise. We're going to actually talk today a little bit. I just wanted to have you share some of your gems of wisdom that you have about being a speaker because we talked a little bit about that when we met. And I think there's a lot of things that you and I talked about that people that really want to speak or get into that arena really need to be aware of because there's lots of summits, there's lots of places and offers for people, and I just want to help them get some of that information that's going to help them make a good decision. I think you're the person who's going to help do that, Patricia.
Wow. Yeah, well.
So
Oh,
tell
but
us a little bit. First, tell us a little bit about your speaking because you've been speaking for a really long time and have run a lot of summits. So, like, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself in that way? That way, people will understand why I asked you those questions.
okay, great, great, great. Thank you so much. And sure, I would love to elaborate on that. I am a public speaker, two-time winning public speaker at that. I am a best-selling author, international best-selling co-author, that is. I just finished writing my own personal book. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen, the book is about? It's about in-person and virtual events that rock. 21st century tips, strategies, and processes. And I wrote that book because, as Sherry said, I love networking. And I realized after leaving corporate America, 29 years of service in law enforcement. In 2016, I retired. And prior to retirement, I'm going to share a little bit about my story, which is I was a victim of the politics in the workplace. As a female in a predominantly male environment, I was passed over for three promotions, three different times. I, of course, I passed the test, top 10, top 5%. And then, of course, I was passed over arbitrarily because of my outspokenness, my wisdom, and my beauty. And I said no to some relationships and all of those other things that goes along in the workplace. And what happened was I stood up to the challenge with the organization. I followed the procedures that were in place for me to take on the challenge of my being passed over for the promotions. And each time I succeeded in those challenges, and each time they had to promote me with back pay. And of course, that was one of the reasons I chose not to go back to work after retiring. I kept my eyes on the prize. I did retire after 29 years of service in law enforcement. I retired as a corrections lieutenant, which was my ultimate goal. And today, Florida retirement system pays me a six-figure salary plus a 3% increase annually until I die, for the rest of my life. So with that, I share that because challenges are essential for us to reach the goal and the blessings that are laid out for us. They don't come down, just fall in our lap. We have to go through challenges. And as we go through each challenge, what happens is we're growing and we're being educated so that God can take us to a new level. And being an entrepreneur, public speaker, best-selling author, all of those things, event coordinator, business coach, I have a team that's in India that works closely with me. And I say all of that to say that all of the challenges that I went through in the corporate arena, now I can see why I had to go through that because I had to learn the dynamics of people. And with that, it brought me into this arena. I've had great coaches, Bill Walsh, Sharon Lecter. I've worked with Eric Swanson. I have also sat beside Les Brown on the stages with him. I have Women's Prosperity Network. I'm still in that organization for the last 9 years. And had it not been for all of my mentors, I would not be sitting before you today. So I've made a huge, huge, huge investments in myself. And that's what we have to do if we want to get what other people have. And all of those mentors taught me, well, you're hosting events in your backyard, because I was selling Legal Shield. And when I started taking platinum speaking trainings, the different speaking trainings that they offered, they said to me, you already hosting events in your backyard. All you got to do now is monetize them. And that's when I went into hotels and I stopped doing them for free in my backyard. And I started going into hotels, prominent hotels. And then, of course, people would fly from all over to attend our events because of how I show up on social media. That's very important, how we show up, because it attracts people to us when we
Right.
show up professionally, colorful, as you can see, colorful. And when we definitely interact, we have to interact with other people who are on these platforms as well. That, whether it's whatever the tools are that we use, whether it's Facebook Messenger, whether it's your text, whether it's social media, I believe in connecting, and I think you can attest to that. Sure, sure.
Yes,
I
I
do believe in
absolutely can.
communication.
And I think it's a testament to how you've gotten as far as you have. I want to just kind of lean back into, when you started talking, you were talking about the challenges. And I think something you said really stuck out to me is like you understood why you went through those challenges, because those challenges paved the way for all the things, the skill set, the knowledge, all those things you were going to need as you moved forward. They were very difficult in the time. I kind of call it, in my first chapter, my first book was Is There a Rainbow After Your Storm? When you're in the storm, man, the hail hurts and you wish you had a helmet. And you feel like you're going to be carried away by the wind. It's so overwhelming. But in the end, as you get through it and the rainbow comes out and the sun begins to shine again, you realize how much more resilient you are and how much more equipped you are for the next storm. And that's literally what I heard you say, is that every one of those storms equipped you for when you moved forward in each incremental step.
Yes, absolutely. And when we look at it from that angle, Sherry, when we look at it as if the challenges that we face in life, be it on our job, be it in our families, wherever, when we look at it as we're God, I always say God is preparing us, because we were all created for a destiny. We all have a journey to go, and it's up to us as to whether we say yes to the journey, our calling. But when we have a calling, we have to be conditioned. And that when we look at it as a part, okay, God's got something great coming. Let me go ahead and go through this challenge. Because trust me when I tell you, the blessing or whatever it is that you're looking for, it's on the other side. But you got to go through the challenge.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I think the other part of that is, I'm gonna take a wild guess here, but I don't think it's a real big guess. But I would say that if I were to ask you about those challenges, you're actually probably really grateful for each and every one of them, aren't you? You're not bitter, you're grateful.
No, they don't make me bitter. They made me better.
That's right.
And I applaud Dade County
Yeah.
Corrections, because they have definitely set me up for an awesome retirement. And I had to go through the challenge. And I say that because I see so many people, so I can't be bitter, because everything in life comes together full circle. It comes together. Everything is a puzzle piece. And when I look back over my life, which I think back often about the employees that I worked with that lost their lives during those years of that they were striving for their retirements. We had one gentleman that drove off in the county van to go to lunch. He was working a midnight shift, so he went out to eat, and he ended up blowing his own brains out in the truck with the county van, with the county weapon. So we don't ever know what people are going through,
Right.
and we're not always. All of us are not going to come out on the other side. So am I bitter? Of course not. Yes, it made me better, of course. So with that, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful that I have gifts and talents to share, and I honor God for finding favor in my life to give me these gifts. And this is why I do everything I do with excellence.
And I will acknowledge that excellence right now. And I actually like to acknowledge the fact that you have taken those challenges and turned them into your champion triumphs, right? Like you took those and used those for your good as building blocks for the foundation for your success, which you've had a ton of. I want to come back and circle back to the foundations of a summit, because we all, a lot of us speakers, we participate in them. And the first thing I want to do is, like, if somebody's watching and they either want to speak, you get on a platform, or they have a message they want to share, can you give sort of a few tips to look for when somebody is looking at a summit to be part of? What are some things they should ask either the summit organizer or the event planner? What are some things they should look for so that they know they're getting into a legitimate one that will serve them?
Well, first, oh, that's a good question because it's a lot of everybody has their own way of doing things. And I always say that there are rules to the game. So the first thing we have to do is follow the rules to the game. We have to read whatever they're offering us because it's always what's in it for me. So you want to know what is it that I'm going to get out of speaking at this particular event. And if you are a beginner speaker, that's one thing you're going to get out of it is the exposure. All of us gets exposure. All of us get to connect with other people, and that's what it's going to take to grow your business. Because I always say people need people. I always say that we can't do anything alone. So that's one thing. So if those opportunities come, please take advantage of them. As for what you're getting out of it, you also want to ask questions. And if we don't ask the right questions, then we don't get the right answers. And anytime that you are in a summit or on a speaking platform, based on my own experience, one of the main questions that I ask is, will I receive the content from my speaking presentation? Why do I do that? Because content is king, video is queen. And you know what? Content lasts forever. We call it evergreen. And you can post those videos on those presentations on your website. That shows everybody that visits your site that you have credibility for what it is that you are speaking about, because you have already shared it on other stages, as well as you can post it on your video channel and YouTube, Vimeo, whatever your channel is. And you can also cut the content up into bits and pieces that will keep content going out on social media about you, because everything we do is about branding. It's not bragging. So get over it. If you don't like to talk about yourself, get over it, because it's not about you. It's about branding. And you are your brand. You are your business. So therefore, we have to have that content. So that's very essential. And I would also say that if you're not building your email list, a lot of sometimes these summits, Sherry, that you mentioned, all they want you to do is free. All they want you to do is have an email list to send out that content. I'm sorry, send out that event to your network, because everybody has a network. People need people. And so if you're not building your email list, you might want to start coming to our events, because with the events that we host online, you're going to always walk away with at least 20 emails or more. And if you're a speaker at our events, you're going to walk away with all of the attendees that paid for those tickets, whether they came or not. So we make sure we give you value. You'll get an email list. You're going to also get an opportunity to promote your products and services. That's another thing you want to ask at these summits. Am I allowed to sell? Am I allowed to promote? Most summits, they don't want you to promote, but they want you to give away something for free. You do have options. All I can say is ask the right questions and you'll get the right answers.
Absolutely. And that is really powerful information. So could you share, like, a lot of the summits that you go to now, it costs a certain amount to speak, or, I mean, I'm not even talking about attending, but to speak. And I know that there is a reason. There's a cost in production. There's a cost in running a summit. I've done them, I know. So can you share a little bit about, if somebody is really new, or they're a very new to the public speaking arena, can you share maybe what some guidelines would be and how they should think about what they should pay? Because there's anything from, it's just $3,000 to speak, and there's 300 to speak, and that's a completely different ballpark, right? Can you share a little bit about, or share some of your wisdom on maybe how somebody would know whether the amount being charged will, how do they determine whether that's a good investment for them?
Again, it goes back to what I said. It's whatever the individual is looking for. The average person like myself, speaker, I want content to come back. I want to make sure I get a copy of my content. I just had three. I went to London. I flew into Miami, not London. I went to Paris for a conference. I flew into Miami in February. Then then flew into for a conference, and then I flew in again for expo. I had to speak at these events, and that's why I'm sharing this today, because I didn't ask the right questions. I assumed that I was going to get the content because I give content. Our team creates cut up the content, give it to all the speakers and so forth. It comes with the package. There is a fee when you work on our platforms as well. Mm-hmm. But again, you have to look at what you're getting. And if you feel that whatever you want is what you want to pay, fine. But I of course, since learned some things to ask questions.
And that's exactly kind of how our conversation got started. Yeah. I was like, I don't know that sometimes people know the right questions to ask. And that's a really, really important one, as you just learned. And you're a very seasoned speaker. And so I think it's one of those things where it just has to be repeated, and we have to be reminded to ask the right questions. And one of those is, do I get my content back? You know, or in a form that I'm going to be able to use for my own marketing. I understand that we're joint marketing when I'm speaking and that we're commingling networks. But I also want to know that if I'm going to come there and invite my network in there, that I'm going to have that reach still, right? With the content, and that I get to hang on to it and use it for the benefit of continuing to promote, which inadvertently promotes wherever you're speaking anyway. So
and Sherry, since you're on that subject about the content, sometimes I just want to throw this in. Sometimes if you speak for a summit for free, they may just charge you $40 or $50 for the content. So again, like I said, we do have options. We can ask questions, you know, and then also when you're on a virtual platform, of course, when I used to go live, when I was live doing live events, my speakers paid me more because they got more time and they got good value, of course. And of course, they flew in the hotels, and then we fed them all at the 2 days. It was a 2 days, so we fed. So of course, the cost was higher. But when you're on these Zoom platforms, which is why I choose to stay on Zoom, there's less work entailed as it relates to putting those events together. So of course, you're looking at a lower fee. And then there's some, like I said, if you have a platform like myself and you invite me to speak on for instance, just right here, you have me interviewing me. So guess what? I have a podcast platform. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask you to be my guest, and there's no cost to either one of us, right? Because people do charge for podcasts as well. You know, because everything we do is just, you have to set up. It takes time. You want to create the content, and this is what we all do. And then we have to push it out there and market these things. So, you know, you got to look at all of those things, and you are your biggest investment. And so based on your goal or your vision for yourself, yes, you just ask the right questions. And if you feel like it's within your budget, I would say don't say no to opportunity.
Absolutely. I always say someone will take the ones you miss. I want to actually ask another question. It's a sort of a detail question. So when somebody is going to a summit, or they're going to look at speaking, and you want to know the parameters, because we touched on this when we talked, how important, Patricia, is it for a speaker who's going to an event that they are not in charge of, but they are participating in? How important would you say it is for them to actually ask or have a signed contract of what they are to provide and what you are going to receive for what you're paying for?
Yes, definitely get a contract. We always give contracts, even though our fees are small on these platforms. We still give a contract, and everything that you want have been promised verbally. It needs to be in the contract, because I'm gonna say this. As an entrepreneur, all of us have opened ourselves up to litigation. Yeah. Because when you promise a service and you don't deliver, you offer yourself up for litigation. So what do you want to do? A contract protects you and it protects that person as well. And in my own opinion, when there is a contract, it builds that relationship. It makes it stronger because now we know that we're dealing with two professionals here who understands business. We go into Walmart. What do they give it? I walk out with a contract, a receipt.
That's
So if
right.
anything goes wrong, I can take that receipt back. There's my proof. If they fail to deliver or to give me back my refund or whatever reason, that same receipt, I take it to the attorney. And this is why I market Legal Shield.
Well,
Because
that's right. And the other thing is it's if you want to call it a CYA, whatever, it's actually for your protection as the speaker, but it's also the same for the protection for the person running the summit. Everyone knows what is expected of the other party, and both parties agree. And I think, and I have as a speaker made that mistake, thought I was getting one thing from a conversation and then had no way to back it up. That happened to me also in a book deal I was in. And I couldn't do anything with it because I didn't have, there was a contract, but I didn't get a copy of it. I should have demanded it, right? Like, so all these things do come into play. And this was one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you today, because I think these are really important things for what people in my network, especially, are doing. They are writing books, they are speaking on summits, and they are looking to start doing that.
that's right.
I know you have you have a summit system. I'm not sure what you call it, the platform that I want you to speak a little bit to that, Patricia. And what is the opportunity that you offer people? So, in case anyone who's watching wants to jump on and say, I want to be part of that.
Okay, I put a comment in the private chat for you. I don't know if you were able to grab it, but we do have speaking opportunities for October the 21st is coming up, and that would be from 11 to 7 p.m. We normally have our events are normally 7 hours because we always have a plethora of speakers, and we would love to have you. We, like I said, our platform, the theme is always entrepreneurs living the dream 2021, 22, 23. We're in 23 now because we do not discriminate. If you are a beginner, you need to be on our platforms. If you are an expert, you need to be on our platforms. If you are an influencer, our platform fits everyone. So we don't stick to a specific topic. Whatever your gift and your vision and your passion is that God has given to you, you're welcome to speak on our platforms. And I always look at speaking, even though I'm seasoned, I always look at it as an opportunity to practice, practice, practice. And that is what takes us where we need to go. Practice, practice, practice.
Absolutely. And then when people say, oh, you do that so easily. And I'm like, it's from doing it over and over and over and over again. And you know that you got to start somewhere. And when you have that message inside you, somebody, I always say somebody's waiting. They're just waiting to hear it the way you say it with your experience and your knowledge. The only thing
Right.
stopping you is you.
Only say it again.
That's for the people in the back.
The only thing stopping you is you. I was reading a book yesterday. It says, get out of your own way. You know, we have
absolutely. And
way.
you know what? I think you have such, every one of us has a gift. I always say every person is an unrepeatable miracle, exactly as they are. Patricia. So it doesn't matter where somebody comes from or what experiences they've been through. There is literally only one you. And that's the very person that needs to go to that calendly.com/Pat Rogers /public-speaking and make your appointment to speak at the next upcoming summit on October 21st. Please feel free to follow Dr. Patricia Rogers and connect with her. And I'm guessing that calendly.com/Pat Rogers, they can probably make a connection call and just to get to know you call as well. Is that true, Patricia?
Yes, they can schedule on that calendar. That's the public speaking calendar. And once they schedule, we are definitely going to meet on Zoom, and I'll give them to show them the contract with all the details to go over everything that's included, not just the content, but everything I said, basically the email, everything. There are certain items I would need from you If you're going to speak, we need your bio. The same thing you see here behind me, my virtual background, our team creates those for all of our speakers, basically, and that's where we do the voiceover bio. So you get a lot of content, some things I haven't even mentioned. And we would need your bio, your headshot. We would need your 100-word bio, your headshot. We would need your logo, as you can see. We need your title we need your phone number, your email, and then this plays right before you speak. And then after we play your bio for everyone to see, and then and hear, then you follow up with the speaking. And we have 15-minute speaking spots, we have 30-minute speaking spots, and we have a 7-minute speaking spots, and all of that will be on the calendar link. And we have videos on that calendar link as well to show some of our past events.
I love
and
that.
I got to gift your people with anybody that watches this video today. Guess what? Just to give them
a freebie. I love freebies.
Just to give, because sometimes I want people to come to our events even before, just at least look at a video or come attend, and then they can see whether it's a good fit for them or not. So this, if anyone that watches this in your group, it's not open to the public, but this is for your group. I always make an extra site just for this purpose. And I give to nonprofits as well. Nice. So this is a special link, and they can join for free. Anyone that watches this video for our next event, July the 29th, 2023. We would love to have them join us and come and see, and then we'll have opportunities to speak for October.
Oh, that's amazing.
Right into the next year. So
thank you so much, Dr. Patricia Rogers. I am so happy that we got to do this today. I hope you'll grab your awesome freebie at hottopicsfree.eventbrite.com.
And I don't know if you ever answered the question. I think I asked you, I would like for you to be we having a hot topic speaking. And since you've interviewed me here, you have a choice. I can either give you an interview on my podcast, but I would really prefer to have you on our hot topics because I think you're hot. I love that red, them hot lips and red.
That's right. That's what color too. I was like, I knew we were kindred spirits right there at that.
I think you'll be more productive on my at our hot topics. We have about 20 speakers for that.
That sounds wonderful. I will check it out as soon as we get done here. And I want to say thank you so much. I'm so glad to have had you here today and to introduce you. And I will also put out in my network these links as well so that we can continue on and share this information. I hope people took away these very important tips for when you are going to speak, when you're going to lean into that for the first time. Be smart about it. If you're not sure and you want some guidance, please make a call to Patricia and get in the know and make a good decision for yourself, because it's going to impact your future of speaking. So do it right. Avoid the mistakes. We've made a lot of them already, so we just cleared a path for you. So take off and be your best and just show up uniquely you as the unrepeatable miracle that you are, just like you are, Dr. Patricia Rogers. Thank you so much for being my guest today.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.